Bro. Di troppo. Dai, sta questa.
Yeah, I reckon I did. I grew up around him, you know. My parents know him before I was big enough to know him, because I know him about 8 or 10 years old. And I know him ever since, you know. I'd go out and listen at him. And when I got up and started playing, I would go down to his house on Sunday, you know. It'd be me and the Rainy Bunny, all of us be down there and play some blues down there when he wasn't playing for some juke joint or something.
Burnside first surfaced to wider audiences in 1967 when producer George Mitchell recorded him for Arhoolie Records. The album was Blow My Blues Away.
George come through, he was looking for some musicians, you know, and he found Oza Turner and Rainy Barnett and those guys, and they told him about me, you know, because I was working on a plantation then. We was cutting silage, and they brought him over to my house, and he asked me could he come up there and hear me play and record it. But he told me then it was just for his own use, you know. And I said, okay. So he come up there, we'd sit up till 1 or 2 o'clock at night and drink up a half a gallon of whiskey and case and half of 2 cases of beer. And finally, we got it dead, and he went on back, and he called me about 8 or 10 months later and asked me could he make an album out of it, you know.
George came there with an acoustic guitar because a lot of musicians didn't have working instruments. Turned out even then R.L. was playing an electric guitar, but his was broken, according to what George told me. So he recorded these wonderful pieces with an acoustic guitar and got sort of typed in what little climate of appreciation there was at that time for his music as a kind of old-time acoustic Mississippi or Delta, whatever, blues singer.
When I went to Chicago, like I said, for them 2 or 3 years, Muddy Water was married to my first cousin at that time, and I picked up a lot of stuff from him, you know. I'm gonna dust my broom, you know, with Elmo James play.
You know, when I was young, coming up, we didn't have a radio, you know, we didn't have a TV. We just had to sit there and listen to my granddad play the blues on the porch on an acoustic guitar.
But R.L.'s blues remained, and he continued to wail out hill country songs during the 1970s and 1980s with a family band made up of his 13 children.
I saw R.L. playing with a family band. I recorded him that way. It's what he was doing in his community, and I thought it was pretty good, and presented it on a CD and even got them 1 gig overseas in Holland in 1980.
When I first started out playing, I was only like 7 years old. I used to beat on buckets and tables and everything. I used to be scared to beat the drums because, you know, I never played a real set of drums before. So my granddad one day just told us, like, Cedric, you get the drums, Gary, you get the bass, because we got caught in the Junior Kimmer Club and this supposed to be there. So we played, and everybody started grooving with our music, so we did it every weekend. And for long, I mean, they was like, man, you belong with your granddad playing drums. So I started touring my granddad when I was like 13 years old. And man, I mean, I'm more than happy to do it. You know, I wouldn't leave it for nothing in the world.
Me and my brother Dan used to go in while he was working, get his guitar, break his strings on him. He come back, you know, and says, get the string, bro. You know we done been messing with it. So he thought we just messing things up.
We creeped up to the club one day, and my granddad caught us. Oh, man. We thought this was going to be a bad thing, partner, which it was at first. He called us over there, and we thought we was going to get embarrassed by a lot of people. But he told me, he said, Cedric, y'all don't supposed to be out here. And he said, Gary, you know you don't supposed to be out here neither. That's my uncle. So he told me to get out there on the drums, and I never played a set of drums before in my life. Oh, I'm nervous. A lot of people in the club.
You know, well, RL is just pretty wild. I mean, you know, it amazes me how he grew up basically plowing a mule and has probably been to Europe 140, 150 times.
But despite worldwide tours and a devout following, it wasn't until 1992, at age 67, that RL put his farm work aside to concentrate solely on his music.
Too bad Jim, it was the first time me and RL ever recorded together, so that was kind of fresh, you know.